Hello, SpongicX here with part 2 of my playthrough of Sonic Adventure 2. So unlike part 1, I was able to get the gameplay running in widescreen this time. However, the first setting I had for some reason caused the frame rate to drop really bad. So it'll only be bad for this first level of Pyramid Cave, but after that I exited out of the game and restarted it. So after this level, I promise the frame rate will be much better. It's so strange, though, like how the next setting, I didn't see the difference. It looked exactly as it does now, except it was running smoother, and yeah, screen resolutions are weird sometimes. Is it really that hard for a computer to run a game that's like, I mean, God, like, this computer was, marketed as like a new one, and I got it like a few years ago, and it can't even run a game from the year 2000 or 2001, whenever Sonic Adventure 2 came out. I think it came out in 2001, because this was the 10th anniversary game, and Sonic did come out in 1991 after all. So yeah, this was 2001. Same year as Conker's Bad Fur Day, strangely enough. Not the biggest fan of this level. I mean, this is a level that's kind of pesky. I tried doing like A ranking for or speed running through. But this is the level where you get the neat bounce bracelet. It would be neater if it was on a button that didn't share the same function as the light speed dash, though, but I already mentioned that in part 1. And I'm not sure if that's nostalgic or cruel to make those robots look like E102 Gamma. Some people were emotionally attached to that character, and they hated seeing him die in Sonic Adventure. So, forcing you to fight off an army of robots that look like him, yeah, that's kind of a dick move. Yeah, the bounceability in this was so much better compared to the one you got in Sonic 06, where that one, it forced you to bounce in place, where I love how this one, you can actually bounce around and move at the same time. That's really fun. I miss the bouncing ability. I hate how later games replace it with a stomp attack, like in Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations. I like the bounce attack better. Or at least make it optional, because like there are games where you can customize your moveset, like Sonic and the Secret Rings, or even Sonic Generations, and so they should have had it where one of the abilities replaced the stomp with a bounce attack. That would have been kind of neat. So for those who prefer, being able to land precisely without bouncing, or for those who prefer bouncing compared to just stomping, it's like, yeah, that would come in handy. God, those ghosts are so annoying. They're one of the main reasons why this level is frustrating to try to speed run through. It's easy to accidentally bump into one of them. Oh yeah, that's real handy. A bomb item when there was only one enemy around. That's only convenient when there's a bunch of enemies around. I'm not a huge fan of the grind controls in this game. I mean, some people really liked them. I didn't really like them that much, and I hate how, like, if you steer in the wrong direction, it can cause the gameplay to really slow down, which can really mess you up on some serious parts, and same thing with Sonic Heroes. But I think the biggest flaw with the grinding controls are, like, the ones where you gotta go on it real fast, but then they expect you to jump onto another rail so quickly. And it's real hard to control the characters like that, especially when you're trying to go at a really fast speed, which is required for speed running through these levels. Sonic Heroes made it worse, where they had multiple lanes that were required to jump across, because here there were dead ends or certain enemy attacks that you had to avoid, and so Sonic Adventure 2 was a little more sparing with multiple lanes. It's like, the only times you have to worry about that are levels like, Sky Canyon, or, Final Rush and Final Chase, but other than that, most grind sections are more tolerable. But Sonic Heroes, it really overdid it to the point where, I'll admit that's one thing the Dash games got right, like Sonic Unleashed, or, I mean, the Boost games, so like, Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations. I think, while the rail segments were kind of dumbed down there, though, I thought they were more fun, though. You didn't have to worry about steering in the right direction, you just have to keep your eyes out and avoid enemy attacks, and I don't know, I just preferred that kind of grinding compared to how it is nowadays. I hate, like, these time limit things, because it's like, if you mess up, it's like, it's recommended to wait for it to... Sorry. It's recommended that you wait for it to reset, so you don't, like, head down and then miss it at last minute, but these ghosts really make it, a problem, because they'll just come out of nowhere, and if they grab you, it takes a lot of time up, and so it forces you to have to run all the way back up there and reset that timer. Yeah, this is the main reason I hate this freaking level. I wish you could just reactivate the switch even when it's already activated. I mean, in the later levels they let you do that. There are certain switches that you either need to run into or shoot. They look like, I don't know how to say it. They look like transparent hourglass switches, and they're really tiny. They glow kind of blue, and it's like those, you can reactivate them even when you've already activated them. They'll reset just by making contact with them, and I think they should have done the same thing with those hourglass switches from this level. Freaking ghost. Damn it.
Just made it.
Looks like we're heading toward the center of the base.
That egghead sure loves mechanical things, doesn't he? I'll bet he has 1 or 2 spaceships lying around here somewhere.
The door's locked. We need a key to get in there.
No problem. We can find it. Right, Knuckles?
What? Why do I have to find the key?
We're counting on you, buddy. The world's greatest treasure hunter.
Ugh, another level I'm gonna have to skim footage through. I already mentioned it in part 1, but I hate the treasure hunting levels. Oh boy, I am not a fan of the hammer gloves. They just look ridiculous. So I remember this part being really hard when I first played this as a kid, and surprisingly I did really fine this time.
A ghost?
But King Boom Boo. God, I swear, does anyone else think this ghost sounds like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch?
What a hassle.
That was pretty rough.
We did it! Let's go, Aiden!
You guys didn't do anything.
Come and get some, Eggman.
Sonic!
Just leave it to me.
This time, I'll take your lives as well as the Chaos Emerald.
Could you speak up, Eggman? I can't hear you over the loud music and your soft voice. I don't know why, this theme song always cracks me up. I am the Eggman! Yeah, I remember having trouble with this boss fight as a kid, and it was so easy this time. Yeah, I remember when Sonic X adapted the Sonic Adventure 2 story into its episodes, I remember, like, they did this scene very differently. The way it was defeated was really strange. It was being controlled by a remote control, and Cream the Rabbit got a hold of it and started messing around with it, and that's what caused the robot inside the Egg Golem to backfire, and it attacked Eggman's minion and that Bokoon. It was just so weird, but... Yeah, I remember when I first played this as a kid, I didn't realize you could homing attack on those little back platforms, and it took me forever to figure out that you had to jump up there. I don't know why. I kept trying to, like, do homing attacks on his fist, and it just didn't work. And I was surprised that even Eggman has to fight this thing, because in the Team Dark Story mode, it shows what happens after Sonic defeats it. It turns on Eggman, so Eggman has to fend for himself. So you got to start shooting at it and exposing its weak points and until it shuts down. And so yeah, that was kind of interesting. I'd say Eggman's boss fight against this, well, it's still easy, it's a little harder than this one, just because it's harder to evade his attacks compared to someone as agile and fast as Sonic.
Green light for launch. Primary engine ignition on. Beginning liftoff countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shuttle liftoff.
Okay, get ready for another cutscene where the audio editing was terrible.
So this is the space colony where Eggman is hiding.
Is everyone all right? We should be landing soon.
The hatch doors are
Don't
open.
sweat it, Knuckles. The only thing in the cargo bay are those
What do you
Master
mean, don't
Emeralds.
sweat it?
Right?
Land the
Jeez,
shuttle
can't
in the
anyone finish a sentence before another talks?
That up. Oh no! Don't touch that lever! Whoa!
Now, if I recall, Sonic X did that scene differently. They didn't have it where they crash and Knuckles dropped the Master Emeralds, which caused them to take control of the ship.
Where did he go
Somehow
now?
he sensed there was a Master Emerald up on one of those moons, and that's when he decided to take over. And I don't know, I felt like that made a little more
50 years ago.
sense. Like, I know it sounds strange though. It's like, how were the Master Emeralds up there to begin with? But I mean, it felt a little more, I don't know, like, it didn't give a good context on why they crashed into an asteroid out of nowhere. You think they would have had a better pilot like Tails to worry about avoiding that stuff. I don't know, but
Now it's an abandoned ark, wouldn't you say?
There's not much time left before Eggman fires that weapon again. We've got to hurry. Let's find the cannon and destroy it.
Yeah. Someone designed that weapon to be impenetrable from outside attacks. Its defense shields are super strong, so we have to find a way to destroy it from
Isn't
inside.
that a Chaos Emerald?
It looks like it, doesn't it? But in fact, it's a fake one I created after researching the real emerald. It has the same wavelength and properties, but it's less powerful than the real one. It's designed to reverse the energy field.
So how come
inside the
Tails
Chaos
never made
Emeralds
more
and blow
duplicate
up.
emeralds then?
It looks so real. Even
It's like, what
a
would happen if
machine
he
can't
created
tell the difference.
7
Find the
duplicate
power supply
emeralds?
and destroy it. Sonic, you find the control
Would
room,
Sonic
okay?
still be able to go super but for a shorter amount of
We'll switch the
time? Or
Chaos Emeralds
I'm
when
surprised the
machine
video
is
game
stopped.
never explored that. What stopped him from making more than one?
I hate you. You guys always leave me behind and have all the fun.
My god, Amy was such an unbearable character back then. I mean, you look at how she is nowadays, and it's like such an improvement over how useless and whiny she used to be. And it's even kind of insulting to how she was in Sonic Adventure, because where you actually got to control her, and she had the hammer that she used to take out robots and stuff like that. And even then, though, Amy was one of the most underutilized characters in Sonic Adventure. She had the least amount of levels. She arguably had the shortest story mode, and I don't know. If they were to remake Sonic Adventure, I'd love for them to flesh out her story a lot better. Give her more to do. Like I suggested with Knuckles gameplay in part 1, I said how I'd love to see them reinvent his gameplay to include more beat-em-up mechanics, and I think that would work perfectly with Amy's gameplay. Give her more enemies to fight, and make it more than just her trying to evade a robot, and that was so stupid. Make her a lot faster, too, especially since she's a lot faster in the later games, where, I mean, Sonic games and slow characters just are not a fun mix. I remember when I first played Sonic Heroes, I was impressed with how much faster Amy was in that game, but to be fair, almost every character felt a lot faster in that game, but I mean, there was still a drastic difference, though. Like, if you're playing as Sonic or Shadow, you can definitely see the difference between playing as, like, Amy or Espio, but still. So I remember I had a lot of trouble with this level when I first played it as a kid. I was too reckless. I kept shooting those TNT dynamites. It had kept creating, you know, all these open vacuums that sucked anything out that got near it, and so I kept dying because I kept falling through those. And I'd say Eggman's equivalent of this level is much better. I like how in that level, the gravity is really low, and so Eggman can actually fly up in the air a little bit just by using his hover ability. And so I kind of like how they changed the gameplay in that level a little bit. It was kind of fun to be in a level where it almost felt like you were flying. And that's one thing I would definitely change in Sonic Adventure 2 if it ever got a remake. I'd reinvent some levels or even add some new levels where you have like flying segments with Eggman or Tails, or heck, even modify Eggman's gameplay to where he can switch into a flight form, or I don't know, that'd be kind of cool. Try to make some differences with the gameplay. I hate how Tails and Eggman play way too similarly, and so I'd like to see some variety in their gameplay. Like have it where Tails can get in and out of his vehicle, but then Eggman, he can have the ability to, you know, even if it's for a limited time though, so you gotta use it wisely, have moments where you can actually go into a flight form, and, you know, you gotta, it's like once it runs out, it'll tuck back into the walker mode, and so you gotta make sure you're up above the ground where Eggman can land properly. And I don't know, it's like, just reinvent the gameplay a bit, do something that makes it more unique. I forgot to mention this in part 1, but like compared to the first Sonic Adventure, I was not a big fan of how it felt to control Sonic in this game. He felt way too stiff. I like how Sonic Adventure, it made him feel more loose, so it was more fun to run around, especially the way his spin dash worked, how it was more rapid, fast, and in this game it has a bit of an input delay. It takes a while to start up, and arguably enough, Shadow actually plays a lot closer to how Sonic felt. He has a quicker spin dash, and it's more loose, and, but, I don't know, it's like, you try running around in circles in Sonic Adventure, it still feels like there's a little bit of speed. I mean, it does slow you down a bit compared to running forward, but it's like, you could run around in circles at a faster pace, but then you play a game like this and try running around in circles as Sonic, it feels really wonky, and I just don't like how that feels. And I mean, same can be said about when you're playing as Tails or Eggman. The way their controls slow down, just like when it's like they're running forward, they start gaining speed, but then they turn a little bit to the left, and it causes them to slow down drastically. It's annoying. God, I hate those enemies. I think they're called Artificial Chaos. Yeah, I remember like when I first saw them after playing, I played this first, but then eventually I went back and played Sonic Adventure for the first time. And after revisiting this game, I'm like, is it just mirrored? Those things look like Chaos Zero. And then I played the game Shadow the Hedgehog, and there are those flashback levels where it showed you back on the Ark, and it showed those creatures, and Maria referred to them as Artificial Chaos. So it implies that Gerald Robotnik did some kind of experiment with the DNA of Chaos Zero and created like duplicates of them. And so they look like, their bodies look like it, but then their heads look more robotic. And they are some of the peskiest enemies in this game. There are like some varieties of them. There's like these round bubbly ones that bounce off. Yeah, they're the easier ones. But then there's the ones that have the stretchy tentacles and the laser vision. Those are the worst. Now, I mentioned in part 1 how I thought the Sonic X adaptation of the storyline told it better, but I'll admit, this entire sequence right here was done much better than the way it was handled in Sonic X. The part where Eggman holds Amy hostage and demands them to give him the emerald that they have, and you know, they try giving him the fake emerald. This scene was so much better than the original, despite the bad voice acting and all that. The version in Sonic X just felt so rushed. I just didn't like, and it felt less drastic too, because like in this one, you see Eggman holding a gun up to Amy's head, and then in Sonic X, he just had her in the clutches of a robot arm, and yeah, that was really stupid. And there was no suspense or build up to it though, because in this game they had it where one minute you got done with a level with Tails, and you know, he was supposed to do something with like the emerald, but then all of a sudden Eggman showed up, and his Tails' communication got blocked off, and Tails is trying to warn Sonic that Amy is captured, but he gets cut off, and so then all of a sudden you're cut to a Knuckles level, and I'll admit that was one kind of major flaw. I feel like that cutscene should have happened right after this Knuckles level. It felt kind of abrupt. But then the level that comes right after this, how you see Sonic rushing off to save Amy, and I'll admit, as a kid though, it wasn't very well explained though. I didn't get what was going on, but it's like, you revisit this nowadays, and especially after watching Sonic X and how they portrayed the story, it makes going back to this kind of pick up the pieces a little better, but yeah, I just remember, like, you know, as Sonic was rushing off to save Amy, you heard, like, Eggman, like, constantly speaking over the communicator, and it implied that he had someone in his clutches, and he's gonna kill her or something, like, the way he says, if you don't come here, she will die, and, so it makes you think, like, is he talking about, Amy? And then, right when you get to Eggman, you see he's holding a gun up to her, it's like, yep, he was talking about Amy, and, yeah, I remember that being really suspenseful as a kid. I didn't know what was going to happen next. And, I mean, it's really cheesy nowadays, though, but it was still a memorable scene. It's like, if this game were remade, I feel like they could do that scene so much better. Like, get better voice acting, better sound editing, and... Not a fan of the space levels, though, but I'll admit, I like Knuckles' space level much better than Rouge's. Rouge's is the worst, and... I mean, they were trying to be really innovative with the gameplay in some of these space levels, like whether it's Sonic's level Crazy Gadget, which is the next level, or Rouge's space level. It's like, it's hard to tell if Mario Galaxy took inspiration from that, though, because, you know, a lot of people give Mario Galaxy credit for being the first game to have, like, you know, gravity-changing gameplay, or dimension-changing gameplay, where, like, the perspective changes and the controls are kind of warped, and... actually Sonic Adventure 2 did it first, but I'll argue though Galaxy did it better. They did it proper, because the controls during those segments in this game are incredibly wonky and messed up, and especially in Rouge's level, my god, it was so hard to control, and the camera made it worse. So it's like, at least Mario Galaxy made it playable. Yeah, this is another level I'm going to have to skip ahead with, because I just took way too long in this level, so instead of making you wait like more than 10 minutes for me to get it done with because of this game's lousy hint system, I'm just going to skip ahead. Not a fan of this boss fight coming up.
Long time no see, treasure hunter. Did you find my emerald?
That's a good one. Your emerald. Talking to you is a waste of time.
Very well. If that's how you want to play, I will take it from you.
These are the worst parts of these rival battles, when your rivals spam these attacks, and it would have been more forgivable if they gave you a chance to use them as well. Such a flawed part of this game. It's like, I'd say the worst ones in these games are the ones with Tails and Eggman up on the Ark, and that's going to be a part coming up in the next 2 levels. right after Sonic's next level. It doesn't matter who you're playing as, whether you're Eggman or Tails during that part, it is just broken as hell.
No, I mean business.
I can't.
This can't be true. I never lose.
Get away from my
Look at Rouge's ears flap. That was one thing that kind of impressed me with the Sonic Adventure games. It's like, despite how they're more primitive, they actually had more attention to detail in certain aspects. Like, the way the character's hair would move, or the way their whiskers or ears would flop. I kind of like those little details. You just don't see it anymore. The characters' heads look so stiff nowadays.
My emerald. What are you babbling about? Call yourself a hunter attacking a lady? Shame on you.
What kind of lady goes around stealing gems anyway?
Burn!
Those belong to me.
Top 8 voice acting right there.
What in the world?
And thus a ship was born. I mean, seriously, I don't know how many people draw fan art of Knuckles and Rouge as a couple because of this scene. I see a lot of people say this scene made them fall in love with these two.
You just wanted to hold my hand, didn't you?
Is Rouge even capable of loving anyone? She's such a tease.
This isn't a joke, you know. Think what you want, Batgirl. I was saving the Master Emerald.
No matter what you say, it sounds crazy.
And then people try making love triangle out of her and Shadow and Knuckles. It's
Fine,
like,
then
what?
just take them. They stink like echidnas do.
If that's what you thought, you should have given me them in the first place. Finally.
Yeah, it's strange how some of these cutscenes are in widescreen format, but then some of them are still in small screen format. I don't know why. But...
We should get going.
Who's we? Where the hell is she running to? Where's there to run to on that? Oh boy. I would say this is my least favorite level in the game, but then there's what follows. But I'll admit the setup of this level is great, though. Sonic knows that Tails and Amy are in trouble, so he's racing off to Eggman while Eggman is spying on him and voicing over him, threatening him to, you know, get there quicker or he'll kill Amy. And so yeah, it is a pretty suspenseful level. Yeah, I do like the ideas of some of the gimmicks in this level. I just feel like the gameplay is broken during this part to the point where it ruins what could have been. But you do get a really cool ability in this level. You get the flame roll attack. That's pretty neat. Allows you to revisit levels and break open metal crates. Yeah, it's hard to restart this game from the beginning after you know, it's like you have memories of what it's like to unlock all these later abilities, and then you go back and try using them again, and then you mess up and you realize, oh yeah, I don't have that ability yet. God, I wish I could still re-upload my original save state that I have in PS3, where I unlocked everything, and I lost all that just because PlayStation 4 didn't bother adding that game with backward compatibility, and it's like, damn it, I should have got the Xbox 360 version back then, so I could have transferred that over on Xbox One. And then I don't trust downloading save files, because those can be ridden with viruses. Some people hack those things, and I don't trust that anymore, but... Yeah, always go for the right switch. The others are dummies, if I'm not mistaken. They'll send you to your death. Yeah, this level is obviously trying to mess with the players. It almost feels like, oh, what was the name of that one level from Sonic CD? It was like, Eggman's Crazy Gadget or whatever. I can't remember the name of it, though. But this kind of feels like an homage to that. It's just a real gimmicky level where, like, dimensions are flipped. Sonic is suddenly running on the walls or the ceiling all of a sudden. And so it's like, yeah, it makes me wonder if Mario Galaxy was inspired by this level, because Mario Galaxy always gets credit for trying to well, for being the first game to pull that off, but it's like, Sonic Adventure 2 technically did it first, but like I said earlier, Mario Galaxy did it better, and God, I hate that bounce attack when it comes to trying to use the Lightspeed Dash. It's so faulty. These parts are visually fun. Yeah, it's more fun to fight the artificial chaos of Sonic compared to Tails or Eggman, though, where when you're playing as them, they have the ability to tuck themselves in, and you gotta wait for them to poke their heads out to shoot them, and that's real annoying. If they were enemies that just shot lasers out of their head, it wouldn't be so bad, but then they have that annoying tentacle stretch attack, and that's what makes them so frustrating. Here we go, the fire roll. Or fire somersault, whatever. I'll admit, I got stuck on this part when I first played as a kid, but... Oh, do you know what really sucks? I forgot to mention this, but another faulty thing about the Lightspeed Dash in this game is pray you do not have a magnetic shield during parts where it requires you to use the Lightspeed Dash. You'll see that on my playthrough of the final level in Sonic Story Mode, and oh boy, it is so frustrating. I like how in later games they kept that in mind, though. There are certain times where even after you collect a ring during a Lightspeed Dash, these little transparent rings will appear underneath it. So even if you accidentally collected one of those, it still allows you to do the Lightspeed Dash. And I think Shadow the Hedgehog was the first game to pull that off, but then I think they also used it in, if not Sonic Unleashed, definitely Generations. I remember Generations had issues like that too. Well, I mean, moments like that, but it was definitely... Shadow the Hedgehog that first used that. So at least that game introduced something right to the series that fixed some of the past mistakes. And I personally wouldn't mind if they re-released Shadow the Hedgehog digitally in HD. Like, if they released that for Steam, I would definitely buy that. But please give us the option to skip cutscenes or quicker, make the loading screens faster, and, oh man. Yeah, trying to get the true ending in that game was really painful. All the loading screens and cutscene skipping you had to go through, and it was really time-consuming. Or revise the game at least, so where like when you want to go down multiple paths, you can just choose a starting point. So instead of forcing us to have to go back to level 1 and rework our way to the alternate paths, give us checkpoints that can allow us to, you know, choose a different path from a certain custom starting point, as long as we've beaten that level to begin with. And it's like, I would appreciate that. That would make the game's replay value so much better. When I have to keep forcing us to reworking our way to a certain level and hope that we get the right multiple path that time. Yeah, this is a pretty tricky part of the game. Like, I remember I was stuck on this part. I kept dying so many times, and this part wouldn't have been so bad if there was at least one checkpoint midway through, but it's real frustrating when you get so far, you accidentally mess up, and then it forces you to go all the way back to the beginning of this segment. That is so stupid. Like, I remember I was stuck during this part. I didn't realize what to do at first, and yeah. But I remember, like, when everyone was praising Mario Galaxy for having moments where you could run on the wall and stuff like that, I was just looking back to this game and saying, like, this did it first. It did it worse, though, but it still did it first. Speaking of which, I get a really unfair death at one point. The camera clipped in a really weird angle, and it was so stupid. I think it happens real soon, because I remember I was on a purple block when it happened. Not this purple block, but a later one, but... Maybe it was this one. Yeah, probably this one. I mean, I don't even know what happened, but that was bullshit right there. How did I die there? I landed inside of a building. It looks like Sonic landed on the ground and he died. Okay, skipping ahead.
Yes! Barely made it.
Okay, I gotta save Tails and Amy, but first, I'm gonna stop by the Chao Garden! Woohoo!
Let's take care of business first, shall we, Sonic? Hand over the Chaos Emerald, slowly, and then we'll talk about your girlfriend. That is, if you really care for her.
Handing over the fake emerald? I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Put the emerald down right there and back off.
You've turned into a big-time villain, Doctor.
Whoa! You thought you could trick me with that fake emerald, didn't you?
So, how did you know it wasn't the real one?
Tails!
Because you just told me, Fox Boy.
Bit of a delayed response there.
Space ride.
God, I swear the music just feels so unfitting during this part. It should be more suspenseful or dramatic. And just having this loud rock and roll music just ruins it.
Farewell, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Then not to mention Amy's bad attempts at like trying to sound like she's crying over it. Yeah, when it comes to Amy's voice actresses, they were never really good at getting voice actresses to make it sound like she was convincingly crying, like whenever she thinks Sonic's dead or something. And it's like the only time I thought they ever got a voice actress who did a good job with making Amy sound convincing while crying is Cindy Robinson as Amy in Sonic Boom. Like there was the episode, I think it was called Give Bees a Chance, the one where she befriended and adopted one of Eggman's Bee-Bot. The part where she lost Bee and she started crying over it. It's like, that was convincing though. It's like, it sounded like Cindy Robinson was really giving it her all, and it's like, okay, that's the first time I've ever heard Amy crying in the Sonic media, and it sounded convincing. It sounded sincere, and I could never get that with Amy's original voice actress or Lisa Ortiz as Amy. It always sounded fake. But yep, here's another reason why people love the original version of Tails. When he thinks Sonic is dead, he avenges him. He stands up for him. Keeps on fighting. But then Sonic Forces, when he thinks Sonic is gone for a little bit, he becomes a total wuss. And yeah, there are reasons why people hate what's become of Tails. And it's because he, even with a bad voice actor back then, he was written better. It's like, even if the dialogue wasn't that great, his actions spoke louder than words. You just don't get that anymore. But yeah, these boss fights are bullshit. It takes no skill, just dumb luck. You just gotta keep wandering around, hoping your attacks hit, and praying that you do not get hit by their bullshit spam attacks. Like the laser, especially the frickin' laser. That is the worst. There's just no avoiding it. No matter how hard you try to move to the left or right, it just isn't fast enough to avoid it with these clunky as hell machines. Now, if they ever remade this game, here's what I would do to revive this theme. Actually add strafing controls. Just hold one of the top shoulder buttons to have a character lock into a strafing position so you can move left and right while aiming forward and shooting. It's like, that would make these more tolerable. God, I freaking hate this. It's just as frustrating as it was when I was a kid. Yeah, and did you know fire is hot, Oma Chow? I mean, those are the easiest attacks to avoid, the missiles. It's once he fires that freaking laser. I mean, even when you're playing as Eggman against Tails, this part is still a piece of shit. Ugh. Having fun yet? Shut up, Oma Chow. Yeah, how am I supposed to shoot when he can only shoot in the direction he's facing? I gotta run in order to avoid his attack, so yeah. It's such a faulty boss fight. Son of a bitch. Yeah, normally I skip these, you know, moments where I keep dying, but this was a short boss fight, and I wanted to show people just how frustrating this scene really is. Wow, I got lucky there. Like I said, it takes luck to win, no skill. Not good game design right there.
I feel some strange energy.
I hate it how whenever a character shows up, their theme song starts playing, and I don't like that. It's just distracting. It's like there's such better music choices they could use, but like something to make a scene feel more impactful, but then they play like this rock and roll music, or it just doesn't match.
Chaos control.
Chaos control? Are you okay?
I'm worried about Tails and Amy. I hate to ask, but could you help them? This is our last chance. I got it. Or can it
Little does
be
Sonic
this?
know it, Tails just kicked Eggman's ass. Or the other way around, depending on which team you're playing as. Okay, I hate this level, and this is a nightmare to try speedrunning through. Hard to say which one is more tolerable, this one or Shadow's level. I mean, Shadow's level is still pretty difficult, but I'd have to say Sonic's is more difficult. Sonic relies too much on grinding, and Shadow's relies more on, like, these little gimmicks where you have to run across, like, these little tube things that cause them to run around at 360 degrees, and, I mean, they're a little tricky to figure out at first, but still, I'd rather go through those than all these grinding segments of Sonic. They are really pesky. This level is a nightmare to try speedrunning through, because it is real easy to go too fast to the point where the rails just fling you off right at the end, and you just plummet to your death. You try steering, and yes, there are people who try making, like, drastic shortcuts of this, where they try, like, jumping right here, for instance, and try to land on the rail below, but that's still a really risky move, and it would have been easier if the camera was more manageable. Like if you could rotate it up or down a little more, or zoom in on it a little bit, but nope, and you gotta fight the camera in order to do maneuvers like that, and the camera just doesn't always go in your favor. So, yeah. Games like that are just not fun. Darn it, for some reason I accidentally jumped there, and, Oh wow, I found that completely by accident this time. Usually I had to look up guides on how to find the Mystic Melody, but I just found it there without even trying. Then watch this. That is bullshit. The one way out of there was use Lightspeed Dash, but because I had an electric magnet shield, I lost it. It's like, what the flying fuck? Oh my god, I hate this game.
Yes! Barely made it.
Okay, now we got one more piece of bullshit to go through in this game before Sonic's story is over.
You never cease to surprise me, Blue Hedgehog. I thought that capsule you were in exploded in
You
space.
know, what can I say? I die hard. You actually saved me, you know.
It was a Chaos Emerald, wasn't it? But there's no way you could have activated the Chaos Control using an emerald that's fake. So, there's more to you than just looking like me. What are you, anyway?
What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog.
I see. But you know, I can't let you live. Your adventuring days are coming to an end. Before this is over, I'll show you the true power of chaos.
Oh, these boss fights are so annoying. Starts off simple enough, but then eventually the characters just keep blocking off your attack, and you just gotta... You don't want to spam your attacks too much, though, otherwise, you can fall behind, or, like, the camera will get all wonky and you'll fall off, and if you go too slow, the Terran will start collapsing, but if you go too fast, though, Shadow will keep using Chaos Control to get ahead of you, and you have to keep listening to him of spamming the phrase, "This is the ultimate!" And it's like, ugh, shut up. This goes on way too long, so let's fast forward a bit.
ultimate life.
If you thought that was fun to sit through at 5 times the speed fast forward, try playing it at regular speed.
Sonic, I did it.
Awesome job, Tails.
Sonic!
Look outside.
Ooh.
I don't know, I just thought this was such a weird way to end Sonic's story mode. It just reminds me of that ending from that one Looney Tunes cartoon. The one where that moon base got blown up and then Bugs Bunny's like hanging for dear life along with Marvin the Martian. And so he calls back like the people at the space program and he's like, get me down from here! So that was the hero story mode in Sonic Adventure 2, and it's like, it has its moments, but overall, I'd say most of the gameplay in Sonic Adventure 2 is just frustrating. It's like, some of the earlier Sonic levels were really fun, and that's what I mostly like about this game. I like Sonic's gameplay for the most part. Levels like Metal Harbor, City Escape, Green Forest, those are fun, but then you get to levels like Final Rush or Crazy Gadget, and yeah, those are just not fun to go through at all. Then you're bombarded with way too many levels for Knuckles and Tails, and then if you thought that was over, oh wait, that's only half of it. Wait till you get to Team Dark's gameplay, and it's mostly a rehash of that stuff. Yeah. At least Sonic Adventure had more variety with its gameplay, and I don't know. It's like in Sonic Adventure, at least you had about 10 levels to go through as Sonic, where here, it's like, if you just want to focus on Sonic's gameplay, it's like, oh, Sonic only has 4 or 5 levels, and only 3 of them are good, and yeah, that's kind of underwhelming, and that's one of the biggest problems I have with the adventure games. It's like, there's some promising gameplay there for Sonic, but there's just not enough of it, and then there's many promising playable characters, but their gameplay sucks, and let's get more levels like the good Sonic levels, but with more optional playable characters. Why is that so hard for Sega to pull off? Ugh. I mean, come on, he's gonna be 30 soon, and But I'll admit, one thing that was strange, though, I remember how weird it felt, after I first beat the story mode as a kid, and then you're given, what feels like a TV show commercial, teasing the events of the Dark story mode, and it really does feel like an old vintage, TV show commercial, and for fun effect, even in this HD remaster, they decided to leave the quality looking like it still came straight from an old Dreamcast emulation, without any HD restoration, and that kind of gives it a cool vintage effect. But yeah, it's so weird to see a trailer for the next episode of a video game, basically, and it's like if this were a modern day video game, it would basically link you to a page where you could buy the second episode, and thank goodness this was made in the age where microtransactions weren't a thing yet, and more games should take example from what Sonic Adventure 2 story modes were. You didn't have to pay to see the story continue. It was already built into the game.
Eggman steals the research from a military base located on an island to the south.
But, I mean, isn't that bizarre for a video game to do something like
In
this?
the space colony Park, the 7 Chaos Emeralds. When all of the keys
It's really treating it like a TV show. Tune in next week for the next episode of Sonic Adventure 2.
Side story. Long live the Eggman Empire.
Well, that's all I have to show for now. Thank you for watching. See you next time for part 3. Have a great day.